Welcome to the Gynergy Effect, where energy meets intention and transformation begins.
We're your hosts, Garin and Yesi, partners in life, love, and purpose.
Here to share the tools, truth, and stories that helped us build a life from the inside out.
Whether you're seeking deeper health, conscious relationships, or your next level of purpose,
you're in the right place.
Welcome back to the Gynergy Effect. Today's episode is really special because we get to sit down with one of our dear friends, Breanna Danielle, someone I've shared years of growth, grit, and gym sessions. Bri and I met about 6 years ago through a boyfriend at the time, and our first date was at the gym, of course. Since then, we've shared everything from early morning strong lifting sessions to stepping on bodybuilding stages together. And through it all, I watched her evolve into the powerful woman and leader she is today. We also hosted a number of house builds together in Mexico. She's the founder of the M3 Method, Movement, Mindset, and Medicine, where she blends physical training, mental mastery, and holistic wellness to help people transform from the inside out. She's also a competition prep and lifestyle coach, retreat host, breathwork facilitator, and the host of the M3 podcast. In this conversation, we're going to dive deep into her story, from navigating loss and mental health challenges to building a thriving business rooted in purpose, resilience, and healing. And with that, welcome to the Gynergy Effect.
What doesn't she do over here?
I know.
Let's go.
I just want to say thank you both, and it's such a privilege first and foremost, and I'm also very proud of you too, to watch your evolution, both of you, from the very get-go, seeing you two meet, seeing you two fall in love, seeing the story unfold through now what's become a huge organization for you two, to be able to lead retreats and to bring people down and lead by example by what you've learned. And I see you now doing this with the podcast. I'm so proud.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you so much. But this episode is about you. And it's been, on the other end, it's been an absolute pleasure to see you evolve into the woman you are today, from like 6 years ago doing our gym sessions to now seeing you thrive as having, hosting your own podcast, leading breathwork sessions, your own retreats, and just being an incredible human all around. And more recently also to getting baptized. And I would love to, we'll dive more into that journey with God as well.
Thank you. We go to the same church, so it's such a special thing. But,
we haven't been together yet.
But I've ran into Garin once. So I was like, where's your other half? And he's like, she's in Chicago right now. I'm like, okay. So I get it. I'm like, travel trips, you guys can't always be together at the same time. But I'm like, I will come together at church with you both.
And we would love that.
Yeah. I know. I started going at 8 a.m. too.
Oh, okay.
Setting the tone. I love that. Let's go.
I'm like ready to go at that time. And then you can start the day and just do your thing.
What do you find when you start the day with going to church? What do you find? How does that affect the rest of your day, or maybe start your week?
So I've been waking up early in the morning, and I started this actually November 1st. So it's coming up on a year of doing this every single morning as best as I can. And if I can't reach it in the morning, at least getting it throughout the day. I've made a commitment to follow a chronological plan to read the Bible from cover to cover. Oh, wow. And I want to do it. It's taken me it's going to take me about 15 months to do, but I'm really proud of myself to take it in chunks. And even if I'm reading one chapter at a time, at least I pick it up. I take some sort of scripture with me and apply it to the day. And that's what I do, is I allow myself to repeat it in my mind and say, how does this apply to today's real world problems or struggles, or maybe things that people are, appreciating or loving, and they're realizing that God is a part of that. So I think that's just my take on it, is learning the Bible and learning what history does and applies to the present.
Love that. I mean, life is such like a human journey of experience, and we go through these ebbs and flows, and sometimes finding that structure and that faith can make a huge impact in your life. What have you seen, like, from going to, and really focusing and being intentional around that, to now being intentional? What impact have you seen that really make in your life?
It's the same thing as when you said going to church and reading the Bible. It's ritual. Like, you both strive on. And I know if anyone is listening to this podcast, they know the difference between a routine and a ritual.
Yeah.
And I've listened to your episode about that, and it's inspired me to wake up with intention and wake up knowing that I'm not just reading the pages to read the pages, that I'm actually doing something about it and applying it to my life. So it feels intentional right then and there.
I love that. And you recently just got baptized as well.
Yes.
What prompted that decision? What was the journey to get to that point?
Oh, it was like a spur of the moment decision, I'll be honest, but it has a backstory of 9 months. So Kelsey and I have been doing this Bible study. I've actually probably 11 months now total, but still 2 months in, she was talking to me about getting baptized and how she was doing it for her friends, and she was there and just leading them and inspiring them to lead a life with Jesus Christ. And so I had my mom in town. I went through a very big wave in life, and I just took myself on that ride where I was changing medications for mental health purposes and making a commitment to no longer apply self-harm into my life. And I knew that if I chose a commitment towards baptism, that I wouldn't allow that to take over ever again.
Thank you for sharing.
That's powerful.
Thank you.
Have you felt a shift since then?
Yes. I can tell you my relationships are a lot better. My friendships, I actually care and follow up with people more. I think I don't really do my best on connecting with people. I used to shy away or hide. I would cancel plans. I would try to, and I think a lot of that came from me just wanting to hide where I was in life. And so I feel very purposeful and now energetic in a way where I can share my light with other people and be that person that's like, oh, I want to connect with you because we can do something fun and eventful and bright together. And so I know that it's not going to be a negative event or a negative impact on you. Like, I'm going to leave you hopefully better than I found you.
Wow. So it sounds like when you put a lot of pressure on yourself, if you weren't in a good place energetically or mentally, and you didn't feel like you had something to share with other people, that you wouldn't want to go be in those environments and share, you kind of shy away at those times. And now you're walking into a phase where you just feel more confident about you and yourself, and having, you know, Jesus with you is giving you more ability to get vulnerable with people and open up and kind of walk out and connect with people in different ways.
It's the same thing as going to a gym. Like, you don't just go in and work out and then have your structured, for me, you have a structure, right? So you have the intention of setting up your program and you follow through with it and you commit to going to the gym every single day. And Kaya knows because she goes on daily walks. So she's like, my family commits to their movement, right? So I know that is like a tangible example as to following Christ or to following like positive energy. I used to be such a Debbie Downer, I felt like, and I wasn't a person that, and that's just my inner dialogue right there. You know, that's me coming out as saying like, I was such a Debbie Downer. Probably wasn't that bad at it.
I know, you're always a pretty big, bright light.
Yeah, yours has the most beautiful, like bubbly energy.
Thank you. But I feel you know, it's like that's, if I wasn't feeling my best or my lashes weren't on point, like I'd have a whole mental breakdown, right? And it just, I wasn't good enough. That's what I felt. And so that spiraled out of my mental capacity, you know, Makes sense.
So definitely want to dive deeper into your story. I know you very well, but for those of you who don't know you, and I know your life hasn't been easy, I would love to hear more about your journey and also what inspired you to create the M3 method, how your journey led you to that point.
Well, you know, I'm a proud Latina American just like you. Yeah. So it's fun that we get to grow up in this culture where love and warmth and culture is just very much a part of our life. It's not very... it's not dull. So I always want to spice things up. I always want to push people a little bit harder, but I had that influence from my mom to be very warm and loving, compassionate, hospitable. And then I had the ability to be stern and disciplined and very structured because of my dad's military background. So I had two people collide and incorporate their lives on me. And as a single parent, each of them growing up, they just taught me the way that they knew how without really collaborating together as much as to how to integrate it and make it a mix in the two. So I kind of actually go back and forth between one or the other, and I'm learning how myself as I grow older to integrate the two, to be stern but to also be loving, and to be disciplined but also give myself grace, like, you know.
And that how are you learning to apply that? Because that's an interesting dynamic, right?
Yeah, especially having the Mexican and also like the military influence, which are both very stern.
And hold up, when you say Latina, how much Latina are you?
Oh yeah.
My mom is born in Mexico, so 50%. So
Okay.
we are.
Those people watching, they're like, wait.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, definitely. I could say you have the feistiness in the Latina aspect. You got some of that, yeah, for sure.
I've had a few moments.
I've seen a couple. It's fun.
And it's true. Like I remember being on the house build, and one of my freak out moments, you were like, "Okay, she's real. She's human." Like,
yeah, let's go.
Yeah, it was.
I love it.
Good of you. Yeah, good for you to see the vulnerability. Yeah,
We are here for that.
Yeah.
I literally was like, "Get out of the car." So we're just gonna give a little backstory. In my defense, we love our friend who went on this house build, but poor thing, she got sick and I couldn't handle it, and that's one of my biggest fears is vomit.
Oh yeah.
I learned a lot on that trip how to grow up really quick.
Yeah. So I was able to jump in and start driving, which I don't mind doing anyway.
Yes.
So that worked out perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what we do. We're a team.
I
Yes.
do want to call out that you were a huge inspiration for us to get to the point where we're hosting our own house builds. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it was great to see you take action. You know, a lot of times I think sometimes we always feel like we got to do more and more and more, and that can create some additional stress. But the amount of like just action that you take, when I think of you, that's one thing I think about. You're an action taker. And it's such a unique and powerful combination to have, is just your spirit, your beauty, the action that you take, and you connect with people. And you can always tell that you want, like, you've been through pain, so you want to help other people not go through the same pain that you've been. And that resonates with me, and I know it resonates with Yesi. So I think that's a good reason why we've all connected.
Thank you. And I mean, you both know, leading a house build is not easy. It is not for the lighthearted, because you have to put in the work to recruit all of the people to get them to say yes. And you and I both know how many people have said, okay, tell me when your next one's going to be. I'm going to be there. I'm going to sign up for it. I want to know. I'm 100% there. I support you.
It's everybody's go-to line.
Yes, the next one. I will be there.
Yeah, the next one.
Keep me posted on the next one.
Yeah.
Yes.
We hear that all the time.
And
And how many people actually follow through and actually say yes and
But
go?
the ones that do, it changes their lives.
Yeah.
And even when they say yes, how many back out? It's like there's a few last minute. It's just statistics. It happens.
It's true.
But I also know that statistics we can really continue to promote, and we get last minute signups always.
True.
Yeah.
We had like 5 people in our last house build
Yeah. See.
say no the day of. Like
The day up,
The
just
day
didn't,
of,
didn't show up.
See, and I think the same
I don't
here.
take that very well sometimes. That's one of my things.
I had 5 people, same thing, last minute say no, and then also I think 3 people the night of say yes.
Look at that.
Oh,
So it's like, okay, it balances itself out.
I always say that people who are meant to be there will be there.
Exactly.
That gives me peace.
And what if somebody could be listening, they don't even know what a house build is. So do you want to tell a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so you take a group of people down, you meet on the U.S. side, and you lead them down to the Mexico side of the border, which is about an hour and a half south of the border. And then you meet with a project leader to go over the rules and instructions on how to build a house. If you have no experience on building a house, it's totally okay. You can pick up a hammer for the first time and learn how to build a house in one day.
Or you can play with the kids.
You can play with the
Which is
kids,
also
yeah.
fun.
You can go run errands if you need to. There's so many different things. There's orphanages that need support. There's different, elderly and communities that there's just so much activity-wise that you can do to be a part of that community and help it grow and make an impact. And so I know that whether it's building the house or being a part of the connections with the people, the real people that are struggling and just needing that support, then you can have their 48 hours of attention and effort and hands-on service that you would never see anywhere else to make such an impact on one person's life. And I'm like, imagine a whole family. It's life-changing, and it doesn't just change the family, it also changes you as a person. I can't tell you how much it's changed my life and made me feel so much as like a more compassionate person inside, and the ability to relate to people and be grateful for just the little things in life.
Yeah, it's definitely that gratitude and perspective really makes it big.
More.
So
Makes you so much more grateful for all the little things. Like, people out there, they just have so much gratitude for having so little. When you come back, it just gives you a different perspective of life.
Yeah.
You want to share maybe real quick what it is when you go down there, maybe what they're living in compared to when you leave, what you build, and just the way that maybe an example of like the family and how that the interactions are, so people really can kind of connect with the people that you're going down there with.
Thank you for getting to this next level of depth. I really appreciate it, because I know that I can go on tangents. So
No, it's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where you have a family that lives on dirt floors, and they're maybe lucky if they have tarp or boxes or maybe cardboard that they can use to, I'm like cardboard, but I'm like thinking of plywood, where it's like they could use little things that they find from dumpsters and create a home. But then they leave with a concrete floor. They have wood, fully insulated houses, and you do provide the supplies for it, because you are paying for the project leaders to line up and get everything gathered, the materials and supplies, get the construction leaders to also help you, and they're the ones that guide you through it. But they also have the whole setup for you, where you don't even need to worry about bringing anything, not even gloves, to like food. We supply everything for that as the host, and you know that too, that we're there to make sure that everyone has anything from sunscreen to water to the essentials. Food, lunch is provided. We'll go out and have tacos for dinner, and it's an experience for them. But this family in general goes from a dirt floor to a whole house, and you see how you build a family with the community, that you're also building the house for that family. Like, it's at the same time one family's growing with the other. Yeah.
That's so beautiful, right? You leave as strangers, when you come back, you feel like family. Like, you're bonded forever with the people that you had this transformative experience with.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing. I definitely want to dive deeper into the M3 method, movement, mindset, and medicine.
Yes.
I'd love to hear more about what are the 3 different pillars, what do they mean to you, and what was the inspiration behind it?
That's what I want to know, more about the inspiration, but yeah.
So my business, back in the day, I went on a retreat in Bali and was like, I'm going to start a business, and it's going to be all about health and fitness and wellness. And it was about mermaids. And I remember figuring out this deity that his avatar was named Vishnu. This was back when I like believed in all that stuff. So I was like, okay, all right, I'm going to have this mermaid avatar that's going to be called Vishnu. To go through the whole story and explain it to somebody was not the easiest process to get a client on board. They didn't, so I just switched it over and I called it Mermaid Method. And then I started to attract women more than like men, if that makes sense, because if you related to mermaids, then you would support, it was a very feminine brand. So I loved the brand because I also was gearing myself more towards women at the time, and I just really liked supporting, and I do a lot of competition prep coaching still, but I was really at that point at the peak of like helping women out with their physiques and getting them through vulnerable situations that they were going on internally. And I wanted to help them switch from, that women perspective to the brand now being called M3. And it was like, all right, macros were what I used to be called on social media, macro mermaid. Loved learning about macros, but I was like, nutrition is more than just macros. There's micronutrients, there's hydration, there's so much. I learned about drinking proper water now, right? So it's very important that you learn about medicine, food as medicine. And that to me is like the key component or a key pillar. And then I love that movement isn't just about strength training or running or doing yoga or one thing or the other. It's, in my opinion, incorporating all 3 variations or more, hitting sprints or list training, which is low intensity steady straight. So you can have different things where you're incorporating movement and patterns that just feel good to you. And that to me is a healthy path. And then the mindset piece. If you have the movement and you have the medicine piece and you don't have mindset as part of that, you're not going to want to do either or. You're not going to want to eat the healthy food. You're not going to want to get out of bed and move your body. You don't want to have medicine as part of your incorporation. And I think back to when self-harm was taking over, it was just the mindset was tricking me. It was that piece that you have to switch and tell yourself that this is going to heal me, this is going to take care of me, and this is an inner dialogue and a mantra that helps you stick to your rituals.
Powerful. Boom.
So it sounds like M3 method is more of a holistic approach to wellness.
Correct.
Yeah, I love that. It's beautiful. It sounds like it's been very inspired by your own healing journey, where you recognize a need to work not just on your physical health, but your mindset.
Yes. And you and I have done competition prep together, so you know the hormones.
Oh, yeah. The hormones are real when you're in prep.
And
that takes a lot of mindset work. I think that's the hardest part. It's not just like, like the discipline when it comes to your nutrition, to your training, even like the posing is not the hardest part. The hardest part is really like the mindset.
Correct. You're building the body, but you're really building your inner self at that same time. And that's what's shining through at the end of it all. And it's cool, you get to step on stage and show a physique, and the judges don't really know what they went into. But how proud are you of the transformation that you went through in the prep process of it all?
Oh, the most proud. I'm the most proud of the person that I became in the process. Someone who's disciplined, who still shows up when she doesn't want to, and who's willing to push through discomfort. I feel like my resilience increased significantly.
I believe all of that. Exactly. Same boat. Yes.
I know just from being around Yesi and how determined she is and disciplined with the gym and how she eats and the macros and all of that. Just when you do a competition like that and compete, it teaches you so much on health and nutrition, but really about life. And if you apply that same discipline and intention to any other aspect of it, it seems like people can find a lot of success from that. I guess then including that into purpose and the why, and if you can put all those together. And it sounds like that's really what you're doing now.
Yeah, so I got my master's degree in kinesiology, and when I was getting my master's degree, I was defending my thesis at the same time as going through my first competition prep. And during that, I was putting 40 participants through a study where I had introduced them as a group to exercise and said, hey, just track your food in a food log and record every single thing that you eat. I know that you're in college. I know you're probably going to be drinking. So just if you can, remember how many shots. Some people would say 6, and I can't really remember after that. I'm so sorry, right? And so it was, to be honest, they were compensating for their food. So 2/3 usually either will maintain or gain weight. That's just statistically proven. And a lot of it goes through fat trends. We tend to overeat on our fats. So what was something that we see as coaches, you and I have also helped so many people in the coaching world, where it's the first common thing is they go over their fats and they're not eating enough protein. And you can still do a lot with trading out carbs and protein. And I learned all of this in school, right? But I actually had to throw a lot of what I learned out the window when I went into my first competition prep and realized that the body is unique to the person and to the individual, and you have to take care of the individual to themselves. And so going through the M3 method, for example, it's I create a baseline or a timeline compared from one individual to another and say, okay, based off of what your metabolism or your BMR is, then your activity levels are, then we can create a baseline of food for you. And then from there, what does your progress look like? Do you want to gain weight, maintain weight, lose weight? Do you want to reverse diet? Do you want to put yourself in a deficit for competition? What does it look like? So I create a structured map for them and then have them follow the little things that they check off, so it doesn't feel so grandiose at the end.
Let's go.
Yeah. And I'm thinking of I have a client right now she's about 3 weeks out from her show, and she is really disciplined, sticking to everything to a T, and we're just upping up her cardio because I don't want to drop her calories too much more. We can throw somebody on a treadmill for a couple hours, just like taking them on a hike. Your body can recover very quickly, and females can recover a little bit more quickly than males. But something that I've noticed from her is she's practiced that it doesn't need to be perfect to be in prep. And so her showing up and showing with her best and saying like, I can do this with, you know, maybe 5 grams here, a little bit here. She's a mom of 2. She has a very busy schedule. And that's her way of showing up on the stage is I did my very best. Then she's proud of herself for that. And that's the type of athlete that I want to represent.
I love that. It's so true. I feel like the program that's right for you, it's very different than the program that's right for someone else. It has to be tailored towards you. I feel a lot of people have different intolerances, different lifestyles. So accommodating a program that's right for you is so important. And especially when you're in prep, I feel a lot of people feel they have to be so like strict and have like no flexibility. But it's amazing that you're able to create a program that allows your client to still have some flexibility to match your lifestyle. And with that, how do you balance the discipline of bodybuilding with also being like, I know your coaching purpose, you also have like a spiritual healer approach. So how do you balance like the discipline for like when you're training a bodybuilder, but also keeping that like healer? How do you balance like the discipline, like the softness and surrender? How do you blend the two?
Yeah.
So the framework that I set this up is over 6 months. And the first month is all about somatic. So it's getting in touch with the body, recognizing that when you're picking up the food, you're communicating with it and you're creating a relationship with yourself and the physical, right? Yeah. And you're saying, okay, and that's also creating a connection with the mind separate from the physical. So the somatic piece is really cool because you see one component, but then you get into month 2 and you see the unconscious piece. Yeah. So the unconscious piece is where you change your inner dialogue. You're talking about how you can change positive mindset, right? Rewiring is what we call it for nerves and neurons. And so I love that you can do that physically for nerves and you can do that mentally for neurons. And it happens both where mind muscle connection happens in strength training just as much as if we change our thoughts and we change our mantras and patterns, affirmations, things that we do to remind ourselves, right? You don't just have a podcast here and say the podcast, right? It's the Gynergy Effect podcast. You look at that emblem and that emblem gives you a mantra, an affirmation, a reminder to see that there's power to it, that there's intention to it. And so I love that the unconscious piece becomes very conscious and it changes your behavior, which is month 3. Yeah. So month 3 is all about habits, rituals and routines, right? So we know about that. And making sure that things that feel at first a little weird or abnormal to you now become a new healthy habit that is aligned with the lifestyle that you want to be a part of. And then you go into there, it's the mental piece, the emotional piece. Those are month 4, month 5. And then the last piece is the environmental piece. And this is where I incorporated a retreat at the end of it because I wanted to apply something tangible, an experience where people go through the 6 months and then I put my clients through the end of it where they actually apply the community health to it. And so it's like, cool, I built myself up, but what fun is it having a mansion if you live in a shitty neighborhood? I want you to be able to live in a place that has a thriving, flourishing forest full of neighbors that are also thriving and flourishing too, right? We want our community growing with us. And I don't think it'd be so boring to live in a dusty, empty place. Yeah. So, yeah, that's just my 6 month little plan right there.
I love it. I love when you just go on a riff. I'm like, I get so much perspective from you. Yeah.
You feel like the passion and like the love that you put into it. And it's not just your cookie cutter like fitness program. It's actually like a life transformation, like system that you're going through for 6 months.
Yes. And then also now with the community, I've created the M3 Collective too. So it's the same thing where you understand the importance of having community. I see you two popping off on Instagram and I will read through them honestly almost every single day. So I'm like, it's nice to wake up and see like, okay, there's something, some sort of intention or question or maybe a little gratitude piece that's coming out of prayer, even like somebody's going through something. I will sit there and actually go through that and see the messages. And it's nice to be a part of a community, right? It's the same with the collective. It's really like M3 has something just like Gynergy where we are unique in fitness and health and it's like a community on that aspect. Yes, but it makes you feel that you're not alone in what you're going through.
I think that's a key.
Question for you, because I know as you go through this journey of faith and with Christianity and all of that, I know people like to label, right? So it's like, oh, you label this, now you're in a box here, or you label this and you're in a box here. For you with going down that pathway and some of the other practices and stuff, because to me they're not indifferent or separate. They're everything kind of flows together. It's just maybe certain things are framed in different ways. But for somebody that like thinks about Christianity, but then feels like, oh, if I enter into that, then it boxes me out of some of these other things that you find that is helpful to you and that has created impact. How do you balance that, and what are your thoughts around that?
I think when I was the girl who was worshiping tarot and crystals, that I was probably in one of the worst places of my life. And I just think that when I was following Jesus Christ, or I still am, but like when I switched over to decide that that's going to be that path for me, that I chose that path because I wanted to make something a little bit more positive or brighter. So it's interesting how I already associate that religion or that box with a positive outlet, right? And so that's huge to me. Is I'm like, I look at it as not necessarily like you have to have all or nothing or one or nothing. It's you can have here and there, maybe this and that, as be like what you choose and what you believe in. But I love that Oprah Winfrey is one of my favorites, that she had asked the question when people say like, I don't believe in anything, she'll immediately ask them, well, do you believe in love? And it's like, if you believe in love, then you believe in God. And if you believe in God, that's all that you need to believe right there. That's your version of God, your version of positive and outlets that matter to your conviction.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful. Just hearing you speak now about it, I can definitely like sense like the shift in energy from where you have been like in the past. So I'm so happy that you've worked on building this relationship with God. I can see it like the light shining through you even more so than before. So it's beautiful to see.
Girl, it has not been easy, let me tell you. I'm like, in the very get-go, there's a book called The Invisible War, and I remember being handed this book and starting to read it and was like, oh my goodness, I'm already having this spiritual warfare happening to me. I felt like I was in one of the darkest places when I started to read the Bible. And it's just me saying that like I was going through a choice and I was battling internally with my own choices. And that was the hardest struggle I had to overcome.
How did you overcome those struggles?
I was gonna say, I don't want to sound weak for saying this because I labeled it as something that I was doing, but I got medication as help, and I needed the help because I was very destructive. And just to like share a little bit, I was punching doors in my house and breaking things and like not being very normal. We'll just call it that. So I needed something to help me at least feel like I could get a sense of myself back. And the medication has been a journey because I've gone through 5 or 6 different medications. And so now finding something that works and has been like, I've stuck to it and it's been like, okay, consistent. My body is feeling like I have control back. And I need that. I need that sense of control. It's just a healthy piece for me. Yeah.
Do you feel like being into your faith now, you can have that control by letting go a little bit as well?
Yes, surrendering has been the toughest and most beautiful blessing of trust in my life, because without surrender and trust, what do you really have to like control in any way, right? You don't really have control. So if you're trusting, then you can understand that you're giving something away or giving it to someone to hold on to. Just like if you are trusting her in a vow, right?
There's a lot of surrender in relationships. Let me tell you that a lot.
A lot,
right?
Yeah.
Trust
and
and
it's not
surrender.
easy. Yeah, surrendering is
Surrender
not
and
easy.
love.
Right? It's
That's what I always tell, people is like, if you really desire to have a relationship and find that love, you have to be willing to be vulnerable and open to that. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to get hurt, so I'm closed off. And, if it happens, well, if you're closed off, you're not allowing that in. And part of being open and vulnerable, the beauty is the fact that there's 2 sides to that. And that's part of the human experience, And speaking of the 2 sides to it, I've also found in my life that the people that can make the biggest impact are the same ones that have been through the most amount of pain. And so I feel like me and you really connect in a way of we desire to create that pain that we have and utilize that to help other people and them not feel that same amount of pain. And I feel like that's a big reason that you do your breath work, that you coach people, that you come up with these frameworks and methods. You know, how have you seen that, like through your journey, where were some examples of some times where maybe you weren't in a good place and you were able to apply some of these things and that made an impact for you?
Well, first I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
What was the most painful experience that you've ever had in your whole life?
The most painful experience that I've ever had in my whole life. Oh, man, that's tough. I would have to say, and Mom, forgive me about this, but when I was, you know, I think like 6 or 7, my mom left me at home for a while. I don't know, maybe a half a day or a day or something like that. But I didn't have any food or anything, and I felt helpless. And then I called my dad, and then my dad called the cops. And so the cops show up, and then my mom shows up with her boyfriend at like the same time. And then my mom, when the cops were just like, oh, you shouldn't leave, you know, him home alone because he's too young. And I would have been fine, but I just didn't have any food. Like, I was so hungry. And then after they left, I just remember my mom just screaming at me, like she never wants to see me again until I'm 16. And like, I'm just like, why would I call the cops? And I'm this horrible person. And like, that was where my mom was at that point. That's not who she is or where she is now, right? And me and her have went through this healing process together, and I love my mom, and she's an incredible person. And you know, we all go through these places. I know I've been in places where I am isn't who I am. Mm-hmm. But I just remember my dad coming to get me and going across the Narrows Bridge, and I was just bawling and crying. I couldn't understand why my mother didn't love me, and you know, all these different things. And that wasn't the only time that happened. I was like a couple different times that happened. But I just specifically like remember how much that hurt.
And also how much it taught you to never let anybody feel the same pain again.
Right. And that's why we go down to Mexico and help the kids and, you know, volunteer at the orphanages. And, you know, we want people to be seen, feel seen. You know, I think that's a huge one.
I agree. And I feel like same thing, Yesi, too. It hits home for you as well, going down to Mexico and the house builds. And then you had asked the question about breath work and how that has led me to change teaching something that's more internal towards people, helping people with not just health and fitness, but things that are going on mentally and emotionally with their health. And I feel like I was in a state where I had experienced the most pain in my life that literally took my breath away. Like, it literally put me in so much shock, and I was frozen, and I didn't know how to handle it. And I know that I could use that breath work as a way to speak up, as a way to say something, as a way to maybe even change an outcome for someone else and what they're going through. And so I geared towards a lot of, at first I had tried different COAs and I tried an all guys, and I was finding success here and there, but I found the most success with an all women's group, and I was selling out breathwork after breathwork after breathwork, and I was hearing a lot of repeated trauma that these women were going through that they were sharing with me in a state that I could relate to. And so to be able to hold space for them and to be able to help them is all that I really cared about. That's my like little, you know, when you talk about the pain, Garin, you know what it feels like to not let somebody ever get into that place again. And that's, like you said, why Mexico means so much to you.
Yeah,
you know.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's part of why one of our big things so in the next 10 years is build 1,000 homes, but also build 100 learning centers where we teach kids breath work, and you come down and be a big part of that, and meditation and journaling and, you know, English and tech skill stuff. But main thing is these stuff that they have within them that they can pull when they're in situations of stress, because they're going to be in these other places, but them having the tools to be able to dig deep inside of them and know that they have that value, that self-worth, I think is really a cause that's worth fighting for in life.
Yes, agreed. And, you two have already made such an impact with not just the house builds, but also the relationships that you've gotten people to start with themselves through Date Zero. Like, I love that I have this journal. I love that I get to pick it up and do daily gratitude actions. And, it's like there's a gamified version of it that you had mentioned. And so the fact that you can reflect on it and sit down and write and be present with yourself and build a relationship with yourself, where at the end of the book, I'm like, okay, now I see where I can connect this to another person if I wanted to, right? And be healthy about it too.
Be healthy.
That's key. What would you say to someone listening who may be struggling right now with mental health and feeling a little lost and not sure what to do? What would be your advice?
Ask for help. Number one, ask for help, because that is the scariest, hardest thing to do, is to speak up and say, like, I have a problem and I need help. And I can't tell you how shameful I've also felt, where I've gone to people and then it's also in past relationships fired up against me and people use it on me, and so I'm like, it makes me not want to share that again, right? So to be the person that says, ask for help. And number two is, don't do it alone, is have the support. So if you need to go to a crisis center, go to a crisis center and get the support right there, but bring a friend with you and have them sit with you. And also, I'm going to be very real here, but I'm like, I've had friends pick me up from the mental hospital before. Like, you know that you're not alone, and know that you can call your friends and know who those friends are to help you.
That's important. Yeah. I think too, one thing, a lot of times we just think everybody else's life is just this perfect thing and people got it together. And what we've learned and what we experience is, everybody's going through different struggles. And so the more that you can be vulnerable and share, you just bring that ability and create a safe place for other people to be able to share, and then provide that support, and you can support each other in that way too. So you never know the impact that you sharing your journey and being vulnerable and what that creates, and you're an embodiment of that. And I appreciate that, because being vulnerable sometimes is not the easiest thing to do, but I'm sure you agree the strength that you derive from it is just, it's worth every ounce of that uncomfortableness.
Yeah, and you're giving others permission. By being vulnerable, you give others permission to do the same, to know that it's okay to do the same.
I hope for someone listening out there right now, like, I hope that you take this and it inspires you, like you said, to take action, to follow through with what you say you're going to do, and to ask for help if you need it.
What are you most excited about for the future?
Oh, I feel an itch, and I'm like, girl, you're gonna laugh at me for this one, but I'm like, Yesi, I'm looking at, I'm like, I feel an itch to compete again.
Ooh.
Let's go.
I don't know what it is. I just feel an itch to do it.
I actually have that itch too. I've been having it for a while,
and I don't want to do it alone.
We started a wedding prep. Okay. So my thought is like, okay, we'll do this as a wedding prep.
She's just walking me into...
I'm like, and then, maybe after the wedding, we'll turn into like something more, maybe another competition. But I love where your head's at.
If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna have to go win.
Well, I'm gonna prep with you guys because I'm going to this wedding. So I'm like, I gotta make sure.
Let's do it.
You're good.
Okay, so that's my itch right now. Is I've been having
what kind of competition? Because I know we've done strong lifting, we've done bodybuilding, and you've done NPC, you've done WBFF. Do you know like what you're leaning towards right now? What
I love strong lifting because I think they're so fun. I think that I would always sign up for them if they keep coming. So I'm like, if there's more, then sign me up for more. But I want to sign up for a physique competition. So I'm looking at probably going back into NPC again. Yeah. And I love that they have there's this new category called fit model.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah,
That's
so I'm like,
That's what I should do.
oh yeah, fit model,
Yeah, fit
bikini.
model.
Oh yeah.
Now, what is fit model? What is that?
Yeah.
It's a little bit more muscular and softer, in my opinion, than the bikini look. So I used to say out of anger, but it was my jealousy, was like, oh, this isn't muscle contest, this is skinny contest.
Yeah.
Like, they just cared about who was the skinniest person. But in my opinion, that was bikini was just, they wanted you so tiny, the leanest you could possibly
and that is the competition that we did together.
Yeah, we did that.
We got really tiny.
That.
I love that they introduced this new category. It seems more aligned with what I would want to do if I were to compete again as well.
Yeah, so wellness is another category they have. If you have like a little bit bigger legs or hips, I always say like the Brazilian girls look like they belong in the wellness. Yeah. So it's usually that is the category before figure. Yeah, it's like a little
big
bit,
booties.
Yeah, usually more like thicker legs.
Big booties and legs. It's like lower body,
the thighs.
Yeah. So that's wellness, and then you have your figure is like really buff upper body. The girls who look like they're probably using steroids. Yeah,
most likely.
Anavar gear or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. But competition world, I'm like, I personally think that if you can do it natural, I think it's very healthy to do that prep. And that's something that I preach on, and why I coach clients right now on that is the mental health component, is that they can go through a healthy prep, not lose their cycle, not lose hormone function, or
and that is key.
Important.
I remember I felt so off for like 2 months after doing this show. I felt like my body was out of whack. Like mentally, I feel like I had body dysmorphia. You get to a point that you're always comparing to like how you look during prep, and it's really hard to get out of that mindset. I feel like it took me like a couple of years to finally get back to a point where I'm like, okay, in a better headspace, where if I were to do it again, I feel like I would do it in a much more healthy, where I wouldn't get to that point.
So maybe walk through, before we end the podcast, between the two of you, what is a way, someone that is going through or doing their first bodybuilding show, getting ready to prep, what are some pitfalls that they can avoid so that they don't have that same experience where it takes a couple years to really walk yourself mentally out of, what that process entailed?
I just went to a seminar this past weekend at Glute Lab, and it was held by Team Pro Physique, which they're a huge, like, I think if I was to sign up for another competition, I'd probably hire him as a coach. Yeah. And so I really like the way that he taught us about the phases. And so if you're going to go through a prep phase and you still need to get to a certain body fat percentage, he's probably like, he's thinking 15% body fat is probably a good range to start a competition prep. If you were to be above that range, you would want to go through an actual phase of lifestyle cutting where it's slow, safe, sustainable, right? Your body is really recomping and transforming. So then your body fat percentage drops down to that 15%. Once you get to that 15%, then we cut you down the extra 5%. So that way your prep is really about losing, let's say, 10 pounds over a 12 to 16 week period.
Got it.
And it's tracking everything that you eat. It's tracking every single workout you do, every cardio, every ounce of activity your body's doing.
It's
steps.
crazy, huh? Yeah, the amount of intention that it takes.
Energy in and out.
Because we're doing all of that right
it's
now.
Like a part-time job.
Yeah, it really is. Like people don't understand. Like they're like, oh, I'm like, how's your nutrition? Because we're with Level 5 Life, health, nutrition, all that is a key part of it. I mean, that is a big part of your medicine is what you eat. But people are always like, oh, I eat healthy. And I'm like, well, what do you actually eat? Like, do you know what you eat? Are you tracking what you eat? What are you cooking with? Like, and they really can't tell me any of that. They just in their mind think that they're eating healthy. And when you start tracking down to every little piece of everything.
Let's start adding up. Garin has seen that.
Every little gram and milliliter.
It's crazy how intentional, but how quickly you see things start to shift. I think we've been doing this, 2.5 weeks, and we were in Tulum too.
Week, so really
but we actually did a pretty good job staying pretty close, I would say.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But really, like, that difference is huge, and how quickly it actually shifts. But what about for a man? So women is 15, you go from 15 to 10 in the prep.
I would even say men could get away with 15 because they can lose weight pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't start at 15. We would probably go from like 10 to go down to 5, or what is 5% for a man?
3 to 5.
3 to 5?
Yeah, and wow. I've had one competitor go down to 6% body fat as a female, and I do not recommend that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But she was, Yeah, she was 6% body
That's
fat,
very
and
low.
then we put her back and filled her out. Like she did everything she was supposed to do.
Because I've been to like 7.5 at once, you know, like usually I sit around 10.
Yeah.
But to get down to like 3 to 5, that's like,
Yeah,
that's bad. That's pretty crazy.
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's possible though.
It's very possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also understanding though that it's when you get down to such a low percentage of body fat, like it's a temporary state. Like it's not normal to stay at that point.
No.
So like just mentally to know that you're not comparing yourself to where you're like your stage look, that's not sustainable. When you're more like for women, like at a 15, that can be sustainable in lifestyle. But when you get down to like 10 or lower, that can be really unhealthy to think that that's a normal.
Yes.
I think differentiating in your mind to know that that's not like the normal.
And once your body peaks, it's so important to focus on some sort of strength goal after the physique goal. So that way your body, when it's changing the physique back to its comfortable state, is now focused on getting strength and building muscle. And now you have something different that you're hyped about, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely.
You're on such a high when you're on stage.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be like the calm down from that high can be a little rough too. So
I agree.
having like a goal to look forward to, that can be really helpful.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
a healthy goal.
You guys are doing a good job selling me on this right
It's like,
now.
yeah,
I
we're
love
doing it together.
We're
so.
doing a High Rocks competition in December.
Yes.
So and we're already doing this prep. So it may just be a natural progression. I mean, I like jumping out and doing different things and like experiencing new things. So I'm all about it.
I think we're all doing this together. That's what it
Sounds
sounded like.
sounds like we just made a
All
commitment.
right, wedding prep. Here you
Let's
go.
go. So,
I'm like, I'm going to.
so Bree, what would be some ways that people could reach out and connect with you, and what would be some reasons for them to reach out and connect with you as well?
Yeah, I usually hang out on Instagram. That's where most people in this world are at. And so you probably hear this like a broken record. Go find me on Instagram. And I am Breanna Danielle is my handle. So you can hit me up through a message there. I do respond. I'm pretty active as well. So you can always send me an email from there if you need to reach out further.
I love it. I love it.
Well, thank you so much for being on the Gynergy Effect. I love you, you know that, and it's always a pleasure to have you, and I'm so grateful to have you in our lives as a dear friend.
What's one takeaway? What's one thought that you want to leave everybody with?
That you can do hard things. That you probably aren't pushing yourself as hard as you think you are, and if you can put your mind to it, it's the saying is like, if you believe, you can achieve. And I do honestly say that if you believe you can achieve, just put your mind to it and know that you can do hard things, but push yourself a little bit harder than you think you can. And then also back off and give yourself some grace after you've accomplished the goal.
I love that. I think sometimes people they limiting belief. It's actually easier to accomplish bigger things because there's less people trying to accomplish these big things. And you might as well, if you're going to spend the energy and time, because a lot of times it doesn't take much more energy or time to do that. It's just how high you set your height. But that's so powerful. Thank you. You're getting me excited. So, all right. Well, that was episode of the Gynergy Effect podcast. We're so grateful to have you. Tune in. You found out where to find her. We'll also post that on the episode as well. So make sure to reach out, show her some love. Please like, follow, and share this episode with people. And we look forward to seeing you on this next one. Thank you for taking the journey with us.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
If this episode spoke to your soul,
share it with someone you love and tag us at the Gynergy Effect. We'd love to connect.
and remember, your energy is your power. Use it with intention.